Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. Welcome to the Lynn Area Chamber of Commerce's annual State of the Region, where we'll get some updates of what's going on in Lynn, Swampscott, Nahant, and I think it's good that we bring everybody together because I think all our successes are kind of predicated on the successes of those around us, and so it's great to see everyone and have perspectives from our neighboring communities. I'd like to thank Dr. Dolan for the use of this great space. First time I've been in the building since they did the addition here, and it's come out really nice. We all have phone chargers hanging above your heads, and you can build a bridge. And the space just around us out back is absolutely beautiful. My name is Rick Starvin. I'm the co-chair of the Economic Development and Government Affairs Committee, along with my co-chair, Glenn Morris, who built this place. There's actually Morris Way out there. So, just do a lot of work and spend a lot of money to get a street named after you. I'd like to thank our staff, Christine Niels and Samantha McHugh, for all the work they did, setting everything up. Great job, girls. Catering by Brett Henry and Nahant. Thank you all to your staff. And I'd just like to recognize a few people that are here with us today. Councilor at Large Nicole McLean. Mazi Gazaka, the Community and Economic Development Director for the town of Swampscott. My friend Swampscott Fire Chief Graham Archer. Lynn City Planner Aaron Clausen. And is the Senator here? Okay, so I guess Sean is representing him as well. Representing Senator Crichton's office, Lynn School Committee member and candidate for State Rep, Sean Reed. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors, our gold sponsors, King Movers, GE Aerospace, Morris Architects, and St. Mary's of Lynn, and our silver sponsors, Cowdell of Ambulance, Essex Apothecary, St. Jean's Credit Union. Thank you all. And I'd like to invite our gold sponsors up to give a little minute infomercial. First, Dr. John Dolan from St. Mary's.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to St. Mary's. I am Dr. Dolan, head of school. I came here 6 years ago, and those of you that knew the campus 6 years ago remember the power plant, the asphalt out back, and the old annex building. I just wanted to do a quick whip around tour of everything you see outside the window. So we tore down the power plant that was probably 200 years old. I think Noah actually had parked in okay, no. Okay, but tore that down. We created the Malloy Toomey Green, which is a student kind of rumpus room, outdoor dining, amphitheater. It has really turned out to be a great student experience space for us. You come around, you see St. Patrick's Gate, which is dedicated to the work and legacy of Ed Calnan, who's with us. This was built by Ed's family, unbeknownst to Ed, about the only thing his family could get past him without him being so damn nosy. So they had to work hard to get it. But we built that. And if you get to spend a few minutes, go sit on the bench, read the inscriptions. It is pretty inspiring, the tribute that they created for Ed. What you need to know about St. Mary's is you walk through that gate as a student for the first time. It's the only time the gates are open formally in your life. When you walk through for your very first Mass as a student at St. Mary's, you walk out of that gate the night before you graduate your very last Mass, baccalaureate Mass. So our new tradition, that bookend tradition, and I love those, is Ed Calnan and his family come and open the gate, and the class follows him into the church. Luckily for us, Ed knows where the church is and how to get there, so that's what we're doing. Whip around then, you'll remember the annex was behind us, and there was a chapel in the annex. When we tore that chapel down, there was some great upset from the parish because they loved that space. It was sacred space. Marriages, baptisms, all took place. So Terry McGinnis, class of 1963, built a grotto on the spot where the altar was in that chapel. And if you're here after Mass on Sundays, you'll see families gathering to say a Hail Mary, take pictures, and really enjoy the grotto space. Behind me is the Cardinal Sean Fountain. The only physical manifestation, anything named after the Cardinal, is on this campus. He's a Franciscan. He does not like his name on anything. But he came to us and was willing to have his name on the Cardinal Sean Fountain. The sitting wall was built by Admiral Tom Lynch, U.S. Navy, 1963, in honor of Cardinal Sean. So the campus has really come alive. We have sacred space where our young people can learn how to pray the Stations of the Cross and see the work of Jesus outdoors. We can say the Hail Mary. And then Mr. Andrew Ramos, our principal, right? Mr. Andrew Ramos' academic cheating policy is as follows. The Holy Mother is watching everything you do. So if you want to cheat, you're taking your eternal life in your own hands, okay? She's watching, do what you need to do. Well, we're so glad you're here. I'm glad we mentioned Glenn Morris, because that is Morris Way. And if Glenn doesn't give us the next $1 million gift, we're going to put speed bumps there, and people will be using his name in vain over there. I do want to mention two quick things then. Just real quickly, as a school, we put about $25 million into this facility in the last 5 years. Stay tuned. We have plans to expand, investing $30 million more into our future. So it's very exciting, and we look forward to that. The magazine is out front. All the information that is going on in St. Mary's that I can't share with you this morning, feel free to grab a copy. You'll see that I was just renewed for another 4-year contract at Lead St. Mary's. I'm very excited about that. There's some great days ahead. And I'm reminded what my brother once told me. Behind every great man is a very surprised mother-in-law. So, and then the last thing, if you're following the news at all, Spartan baseball. We're in the state finals, 3 o'clock, 3:30, Mr. Andromeda? 3 o'clock against defending champion Oakmont. And if they have any Lynn pride at all, and I know if there's one group that does, it's this group this morning, it's all Lynn kids. It's the kids that played on the Babe Ruth team a couple summers ago and went deep into that playoff. They're going to take us to another state championship. Glad you're here. Enjoy the day. Thanks to Glenn and the Chamber and Rick for everybody for allowing us to host. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, and good luck this afternoon. So the next edition is going to be to hold all the trophies, right? See, championship after championship. Our next sponsor we'd like to bring up, a gold sponsor. This is a young company that's all over, sponsors everything the Chamber does, and they're really good guys. Santiago from King Movers.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great time as well as us. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Santiago. I'm with King Movers and Storage, as you could see. We will have the privilege of participating on this event. I just wanted to extend the welcome to our mayor and all of our, all the people that is here right now. We really feel like it's a really honor to participate in those type of events for us. It means a lot. At King Movers, we proudly serve this region, I would say this area, for several years already. And we have our team just kind of like a dedicated to do this type of jobs as seamless as possible. That's our main goal. We are more than just a moving company. We are part of this community, contributing, I would say, maybe with the economy, providing a few jobs that we have for them, and also, with supporting a few local businesses around us. Trust and excellence, I would say, are mostly our pillars. From our moving company, right? We usually have to always try to see different ways how to improve what we do and try to do it better every single day. looking ahead, I would say Team Movers and Storage is committed to growing with you. It's we aim to expand our services and innovate our approach. Continue with supporting our local companies around our community and move with every milestone, right? I invite you all to visit us, our office, or even go online to see what else we could have for you to offer. And everything that we could assist, for a brighter future, definitely. I really appreciate again your support. Thank you everybody for your time, and let's try to keep moving forward, to make this region stronger as possible. Thank you.
All our gold sponsors have banners and all. Santiago bought the big moving truck here. It's the moving billboard. So I guess I'd have to ask our next sponsor, where's the plane? From GE Aerospace, Alexis Keaton.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alexis Keating. I'm the communications specialist at our Lynn site for GE Aerospace. I sat with many of you at the last event last year, kind of talking about what was the future ahead for GE as you may know it. This April, we officially split off as a public standalone company, now known as GE Aerospace, with our counterparts being GE Vernova, which is our energy, power, digital businesses, and we also have GE Healthcare. So we're just excited to be here sponsoring this event, working with the Chamber. I myself am on the board of directors and run the Women in Networking Committee. So just want to say we're here to stay, we're not going anywhere, and we're so excited to keep growing the Lynn community, the greater Lynn community, and working with all of our community partners. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for this time.
Thank you, Alexis, and also thank you for pointing out a great board of directors over there. Could the board all raise your hands, please? Get them up. And our final gold sponsor to speak for a minute is Glenn Morris from Morris Architects.
Thank you, Rick. Today's sort of a double homecoming for me. I just finished 2 terms as a director for the Chamber of Commerce, and as Rick mentioned, and the co-chair of Economic Development and Government Affairs with him. He does all the heavy lifting, like, show up. I've also just finished my 14th year as a trustee at St. Mary's, and I'm chair of the Campus Planning Committee. And as John mentioned, as great as the stuff you see here now, more is coming. St. Mary's is committed to the economic development and the education of the city of Lynn and the region. So enjoy today. Please take a walk through the gardens before you leave. They are very, very impressive. And have a great day.
Thank you, Glenn. And another great board and a group that's here with us this morning is EDIC over at this table here. And all do great work, great people to work with, great board to serve on. I'd like to introduce the executive director of EDIC, who will talk a little bit about what's going on in Lynn, and then introduce Mayor Nicholson. Jim Cowdell.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm not blinding you as the sun hits the top of my head. I'd like to thank the Chamber. They are certainly our partner, the Board of Directors. Ryan, where is Ryan, by the way? Ryan, thank you for your hard work. I think we just have a common goal, the Chamber and the City EDIC, which is to promote Lynn, right? And I think that the Chamber does that very well. So let's start. No, let's not start. Yeah. So in the past, I've come up here and I've talked about specific projects, and I wanted to take a little bit of a different view and kind of take a big picture look at the economic development landscape in the city. And I wanted to talk about the trends in business establishments as well as employment and moving forward after COVID. And before I go to the next slide, a question. You hear about commercial vacancy in Boston, right, and how difficult and challenging it is. In the last, say, 3 years, would most of you say that Lynn has lost a lot of jobs and a lot of businesses? So most people are nodding. So let's look at the numbers. So the businesses, so if you look at, and it's hard to see, I'm sure, but in 2020, we had about 2,600 businesses in the city of Lynn. At the end of 2023, we had over 3,000, which is a net gain of 400. All right. Employment, when you look at those numbers, you can certainly see the effects of COVID. Right around 2020, we're down to 22,000. We've rebounded, and we're back up over 25,000 jobs in the city of Lynn. So I think that you can see, as you're looking at that, the trend that we're having, right? New businesses, jobs are here in the worst of times. So, and that, we have a great, economic development is a team sport, and Aaron is here as the planner. We have a great development team, and we work well together. And we're really proud of the progress that we're making. So in the past 5 years, EDIC has given out 77 loans. We're a commercial lender. We work with all the banks here. It's a fixed rate. It's 4%, which is a low rate. Those are primarily startup loans. Most of those loans were for small businesses that were opening in the city of Lynn. We work hand in hand with SCORE in developing a business plan. When someone comes in with an idea, we help them develop a business plan and then hopefully give them money. During COVID, just an interesting note, we gave out 0 loans. For about 18 months, 0 loans. Businesses didn't need loans, right? They didn't need more debt. They needed grants, and I think one of the first things that Mayor Nicholson did was to allocate $3 million in small business grants, and that helped out over 500 businesses. So businesses back then, they didn't, as I was saying, didn't need loans. They needed grants to pay for the electric bills and the lease, etc. But you can see by those numbers, and the reason why I wanted to show you those numbers, that the economy is rebounding, small business is driving it, and as I said, we've added 400 new businesses. So real quickly, 225 Boston Street, so that's right where I grew up, Franklin Street area. That's where the VA clinic is, but it's also home to 11 other businesses there. That building was up for sale last year, and I met with the mayor immediately because we were getting phone calls from residential developers. What they wanted to do is tear down that building. Those jobs would have been gone, those businesses would have been gone, the VA clinic would have been gone, and residential development would have taken over. EDIC stepped forward, the board of directors authorized me to negotiate. We bought the building, and I'm really proud to say that recently we entered into a lease with the VA clinic. It will turn out to be a 5-year lease to keep the VA clinic in the city of Lynn. I think that was great. The ferry is back. 10 minutes ago, Tom McGee called me, and he said, "Jim, I'm on the ferry." I said, "Thank you for sharing." But it's really a great thing for the city of Lynn. For the first time, we have weekend service, and so the first trip on a Saturday is 8 a.m. The last one coming back is 8:25. And we really want to educate folks. So, especially this time of year, you're looking for things to do in the summer. You get on that boat, it's about a 31-minute trip into Boston. So then you could enjoy Boston for the day. The North End is like a 6-minute walk from there. The aquarium is right there. Or you could go into Boston, that 31-minute trip, take about 30 steps, get on another boat, go to P-Town, go to Martha's Vineyard, go to the Harbor Islands. It opens up everything. And so we're really proud of that, and I hope that you get a chance to go down there and enjoy that trip. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, it's coming, it's been approved, the city council has approved it. It's the largest private investment in Lynn's history. That's the South Harbor. So that picture there, I hope you can see it. as you're coming into our city from Revere, it's a vacant lot. It's been vacant for 40 years. Glenn, the Harbor House, I think was the last use, and that was over 40 years ago. Yes, we won't talk about that. And so it's been vacant for 40 years, right? And so it's a gateway into our city. And that picture is really what is coming. And so, you know, zoning dictates what could go there. And so that, Samuel's is a Boston developer. They're the 4th largest commercial developer in the city of Boston. They are the real deal. They came to Lynn and said, we want to invest in our city. So they could have by right put 850 apartment units there, and we couldn't have stopped them. But we sat down and the mayor negotiated with them public benefits. So now, not just apartments, which we would have been okay with, but not really. This is what we're excited about. And so what we will get is an 8-acre waterfront park, right? We will have a commercial district, which we thought was so critical. We wanted folks to come down there, go to a restaurant, go to a shop, go to that park, have a walkway all along that corridor. And you know, you look at the Revere housing that was done, not one of those apartments, not one were affordable units, and the mayor was able to negotiate 10% of these units will be affordable. So it's approximately, I said 425 million, it will be more than that, it will be closer to 500 million. They'll pay about $120 million in taxes over the next 30 years. So we're really proud about that. It's transformative. They're going through the permitting now. Hopefully in about 12 to 18 months, you'll see construction. So I do want to thank the board that are here today, the staff. I mean, they do all the work. I just get up there and take the credit. Thank you for everything that you do. And I wanted to introduce the mayor. I've had the privilege of working with 7 mayors. And I know I've been around a long time, but 7 mayors. And the person I'm introducing is right at the top of my list. And he wakes up and he says, how can we make the city great for his family and for all of our family? He's my friend, our mayor, Jared Nicholson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Jim, for that introduction. It's an honor working with you and your whole team, your staff, your board. We do have a tremendous team here in the city of Lynn, and it takes all of us working together to see this kind of progress on economic development, and I'm thrilled that we're moving forward. Thank you to St. Mary's for hosting us. I didn't realize we had such a great view of City Hall from here. I might need to steal Principal Androm's line about St. Mary watching out on everything that's happening, given the proximity. But also thank you to the Greater Lynn Chamber of Commerce, Wichita, the Government Affairs Committee for giving us this opportunity. To my colleagues in government, our neighbors, it's an honor working with you all as well. So we have, as you've heard, some really exciting progress here in the city of Lynn in economic development. And as you know, it's a team effort, and it also is an effort that cuts across different issues. So we need to be making progress on across the board in order to maintain and grow this kind of momentum. And I think a real fundamental aspect of progress and economic development appropriate for this setting here is education. And thinking about education as preparing the next generation to build on everything that we're doing here has been a top priority for us. We are seeking to increase access to pre-K education, knowing how valuable those years are for our students' lives and their futures. And last year we added 90 seats for our Lynn 3 and 4-year-olds. Next year we're slated to add over 200. Which we're excited about. We also know that we have a tremendous district with amazing educators, wonderful students and families. We don't have enough space in the City of Lynn Public Schools. And we are making real progress. Hopefully we'll have a shovel in the ground this summer for the new Pickering Middle School, which will add capacity of another 600 students at the middle school level. Those are a couple examples of major projects that we have going in education. These are
examples of the kind of team effort that I was talking about earlier. And another top priority for the city is the impact of rising housing costs and what that means for our families. And there's a lot that we're doing to try to address that. I want to give some examples of how we're partnering with the private sector or facilitating partnerships with the private sector to make progress on housing. I think a great example of that is the project that's underway at the former Union Hospital, a collaboration with the Salamini family, with Two Life as the nonprofit developer. That will add 150 units of affordable senior housing that's going to be under construction, so we're really excited about. Another example, Latino Support Network is partnering with a private small office just outside of downtown. Legal office is going to be adding 4 affordable home ownership units, a project supported by the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Another example, I see Harbor Light is here working, again, another private sector collaboration with Gordy Hall and trying to preserve 100 units of housing that's naturally occurring as affordable here in the city of Lynn. And you just saw an example of the really, I think, unprecedented investment that we're looking at in the South Harbor project, 850 units, 10% of which are affordable. So you add up those all together, we have hundreds of affordable units in the pipeline and are doing it in collaboration with our partners in the nonprofit sector, in the private sector, different levels of government to try to really tackle this issue and, putting city resources into the effort. The city created an Affordable Housing Trust Fund last year, seeded it with $3 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds, and those grants have just about all been made at this point, right ahead of the deadline that we had here in 2024. So we're really excited about the progress that we're making on housing. I think another critical issue that sets the stage for economic development, is really a precondition for a lot of what we're talking about, is achieving peace in our community and solving the issues that we have had with community violence. Not only is it a precondition for that progress, it's what our residents deserve, to be able to live in safe communities and have peace in their lives. We are working collaboratively to try to make sure that that is the case. I think a great example of that is that we want to be investing in our young people to give them the opportunities that they deserve. We see employment as a great way to do that, and we are making a commitment this summer that every young person in the city of Lynn who wants to work this summer will have a summer job. In making that commitment, we've gotten applications for summer employment that is just about triple the size of our program last year. And as you might imagine, that is requiring extra resources. We think it's a really important investment in the next generation, but we've asked for partners in making those commitments, and we've had 11 private organizations, businesses, foundations, nonprofits, partners here in the city of Lynn make that investment with us to sponsor summer employment here, and I want to thank all those folks who have stepped up. So for some folks, several summer jobs that they're hiring. So thank you to our partners. In thinking about violence prevention, we've really thought about it as a multi-pronged approach. That the law enforcement plays a critical role in making sure that our residents are safe, and it's also requiring us to really get out into the community and make sure everybody is involved. And so we've had a lot of community conversations in neighborhoods that have been impacted most. We had a forum at Ingalls Elementary School last fall, right on the Essex Street neighborhood, that had one of the most prominent incidents. It had close to 200 people come and share and reflect, and have had a series of those kinds of conversations over the last year, which continues. Getting ready for summer, we have one tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, focused on young people, but really open to the entire community. So we're going to continue to draw people in and make those connections and see this as a holistic effort that's bringing in all of our partners. We want this investment here to continue in the city of Lynn, and we want to make sure that it leads to getting our residents into good paying jobs. But we're not going to sit back and wait for the investment to come, because some of that is outside of our control, dictated by broader economic cycles. But we know that we have capable and talented and ambitious residents now, and that there are jobs available. There are employers that need the workforce. And so we've also been really focused on not just bringing jobs to Lynn, but preparing our residents for the jobs that exist. So an example of some of those workforce development efforts, we've been partnering with Lynn Tech to expand their adult education offerings, and got a grant from the state to offer 20 slots to adults who wanted to learn auto mechanic skills as well as welding skills, 20 slots. We had 150 residents reach out to apply for those slots. People want to work, they want to improve themselves, and it's on all of us to give them those opportunities. We got another grant from the state, given the success of that program, to triple the size of that adult education program in Lynn Tech, auto tech, welding, and adding plumbing as well. And we're really excited to move that effort forward. We also have an incredible strength here in the city of Lynn in our diversity. We're a young city, we're a large city, we're a growing city. People come from all over the world to build a better life here, and it's a strength. People believe in this community. But it's on us to make sure that they get what they need to thrive and to capitalize on that strength, to grow their ambition and link it with ours to become the community that we want to be. One of the ways we're doing that right now, we just launched a new collaboration with the Lynn Public Schools, Pathways, our adult education provider, and the city of Lynn that's funding the program through American Rescue Plan Act funds, to get young people who are primarily here to work, that's what brought them here, who need most English skills, programming that meets them where they're at. So it's working with Lynn Public Schools, but the programming is happening in the evenings when they're available. It's happening at a community school at Washington Elementary, and it's getting them English skills 3 nights a week for 35 weeks with dinner included, to bring them in, get them the skills they need, and set them up to continue to be the thriving residents that we know that they can be and want to be. And we're thinking about how this all fits into the broader economy. The city of Lynn is immediately adjacent to the most powerful innovation economy in arguably the entire world. And we need to figure out how to get our city more connected to that knowledge and that job and that opportunity. And we are launching at Lynn Public Schools a new shop focused specifically on biotechnology and getting our students into those biotechnology jobs coming soon. One of the most important things that we can do in government is invest in our infrastructure to set the table for growth. That's on us, on the government. No one else is going to come in and build the basic building blocks of society, and we can invite the community, the private sector, businesses, residents to build on top of that foundation that we built with infrastructure. A great example of that is the South Harbor implementation plan that we've been working on with our planning department, EDIC, really the entire city, and creating a whole new area of the city in a zone that we have known for decades just demands more for our residents. So we're making great progress, I think, in a vision that really invites that kind of thriving community there on the waterfront, and making real investments to see it come to fruition. The goal there is to really take what is now just a straight shot of the Lynnway that gets you from one end to the other, and build a street network that can help you unlock the potential of the various sites there and get people down there for more than just the goal of getting into Boston or back through the city of Lynn. And we're making progress in doing that. You'll see Blossom Street extended across the Lynnway this summer. so that you can get from the downtown directly to the waterfront there where the ferry launches. Hanson Street is under construction as well on the other end of the Lynnway as a new street that's going down to the water from the Lynnway. And the Lynnway itself is undergoing a process of redesign, all with the goal of unlocking the potential on either side of the Lynnway and also taking traffic off of the Lynnway so that the neighborhood itself is more inviting and safe for people to do what they're capable of when they have the right resources. The ferry is a great example of the investment that's happening down there. We also got a $500,000 grant from the Federal Department of Transportation to investigate and study moving the Riverworks stop and opening it up, making it public for all our residents to be able to access, and doing the planning in a way that creates opportunities for everybody to be able to enjoy and participate in what's being built down there, including a new 20-acre public park that will open next year in the Harbor Park. Those are all really important investments in that part of the city, and it's unlocking development. There's a potential of 4,000 units of housing in that area. 2,000 are already in some stage of the development pipeline. That is a tremendous amount of growth, a tremendous opportunity to provide the city much needed housing as well as much needed tax base. And it's not just residential. We see an opportunity for 1.7 million square feet of commercial industrial development in those parcels. And we're doing everything we can to make that come alive and get Lynn the investment and momentum that it truly deserves and that can help us power the region. We're making investments, those kinds of investments all over the city. There's $100 million of roadway projects at various stages of construction. Some of them you're intimately familiar with over the last several months, but those are much needed investments that are really going to pay dividends for a long time to come. Making it easier to get around the city. We have a project to bring full-size metal wayfinding signs to highlight and signify our major cultural assets and landmarks all around the city. We are working to bring more electric vehicle charging stations, have an opportunity to install some down at the parking lot at the ferry terminal as well as throughout the city. We have an opportunity to make a real important investment in our school infrastructure, adding space in the acquisition of the former the current Eastern Bank building. Eastern Bank made a decision facing the current market realities that building was no longer sustainable for them, and seeing a moment where had the building been acquired in an open auction, we would have lost that commercial space, essentially. The building would have been torn down, it would not have been a commercial space. We need to maintain the activity we have downtown. We also have a tremendous need for school space, and given the finances of the schools, able to engineer a potential deal that's going to allow the city to acquire that building, preserve the office space, create capacity for our school department for much needed classroom space in a way that's close to budget neutral because of the leases we'll be able to move into a building that the city now owns, which the council authorized last night. There's a lot that's going on, trying to give you a sample of all that happening. We also are thinking about it from the other direction as well, how it all fits together. That was the Vision Lynn, the comprehensive plan the city adopted last year with the support of the council, and I invite all of you to check it out. I think it's really helpful. A lot of these planning efforts roll up into that broader vision, and we're now in the implementation stage of that plan. So we're one of the areas that highlighted a need for our attention is parking in the downtown. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. I invite you all to, we were rolling out some draft recommendations for our parking plan as a next step of the Vision Link process. Tonight, actually, there's a meeting on it, working with the planning department and the parking department, as well as undergoing a comprehensive rezoning effort it's in its earlier stages, but will be taking place over the course of the next year. So that planning and implementation, that cycle of listening to the community, to the private sector, to all our stakeholders, coming up with a vision that includes that input and sets the target on inclusive growth that benefits the whole community, and then making sure we follow up and implement those plans continues. And we're doing it all. We're trying to get feedback from all our stakeholders. We just launched a few weeks ago a new application, mobile application called See Click Fix. Some of our neighbor has it as well. So if you are walking around and you see an issue that the city should be aware of, you can take a picture, upload it, and track its resolution. And we're going to continue to make those broader, big picture advances on goals like Vision Lynn and creating a whole new part of the city with South Harbor, and also pay attention to those details that make such a difference in our everyday lives through those applications like See Click Fix. We're going to continue this kind of progress. We won't be able to do it without the collaboration of all those here, and really appreciate all your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Nicholson. Thank you, Jim Cowdell. As you can hear, there's a lot of positive things going on in the city. And while traffic is painful and driving through, it is miles and miles of infrastructure improvements in the city that really come at little cost to the city. So it's quite an investment. With that, I'd like to introduce the Swampscott Town Manager, Sean Fitzgerald. Come up and give an update.
Mayor, I am absolutely ecstatic that you're leading this city. This is the economic engine of the North Shore, and anybody that has followed the progress of this city as closely as municipal officials have seen so many extraordinary things. Your passion for public service, your ability to help collaborate regionally is so needed. We share a number of important initiatives, not only with environment, but also, we share a veterans agent, and really that's all part of the strategic leadership that we bring. I want to thank St. Mary's. I'm a proud parochial school graduate from the elementary school. This institution creates absolutely extraordinary citizens. The values, the work that you do to create good citizens is so critical in this day and age. Principal Angerano, where are you? He's back. He's the son of the owners of Charlie's and Joe's in South Peabody. As a child, I went to that store and I worked with his parent or his dad, and they created community, and it was just so wonderful. I'm so proud to see him over here, just sharing that legacy that his parents started. I'm gonna do a quick slide deck. All right, so Swampscott, we have been busy. Last couple of years have been really focused on town finances. I had mentioned a few years ago when I started, my mother gave me some advice. Clean your room before you go out and save the world. Our finances were really challenged. We were about $200,000 away from a Proposition 2.5 override. The town had really focused for years to try to tighten up budgets. This year's budget, very challenging. The town government general fund side grew about 2%, 2.3%. The school department's up by 5.1%. We have significant issues, like every city in town. Swampscott's a population of 15,000. We're a lot smaller. Smaller towns are much more limited in what they can really provide in terms of staffing support. But we've got, significant OPEB, other post-employment liabilities and retirement liabilities, but we're making it work. Here's our highlight. You can see, we focused really on pension liabilities. The one thing that has kept us from achieving a AAA bond rating has been our outstanding liabilities. We fixed our budget. We really worked hard over the last couple of years. It's a busy chart, but you can see a few years ago, Swampscott's average single-family tax bill was 38% higher than the 34 cities and towns in Essex County. You can see on this trend line over the last 10 years, we've actually brought that down significantly to 13% higher. How does that happen? How do you go from being 38%, 40% higher than the 34 cities and towns down to just about 13? It's all budgets. It's a complicated chart. I call it the spaghetti chart. The red line is Swampscott's average single-family tax bill. 10 years ago, we were the third highest out of the 34 cities and towns in Essex County. Today, we're the 10th highest. This isn't a race to the bottom. It's a race to the middle. It's a race to balance. Balance is not a glamorous word, but it helps us achieve so many more things as a municipality. When we look at 10 years worth of increases in the average single-family tax bill, 20 years ago, we did the average over 10 years. It's about, 1,000. Actually, it was a $298 increase per year. If we average it over the last 10 years, it's $134 per year. The average, the increase in the total single-family tax bill 20 years ago, over the last 10 years was about $3,000. Over the last 10 years, the total increase has been about $1,300. That just helps you get a sense of Swampscott's actually managing some of those costs. It's allowed us to really achieve this year a AAA bond rating. I know that sounds like, it's just a AAA, you're a small town, you should get that. It's so hard to get a AAA bond rating. We have worked for the last 10 years, and we've had so many extraordinary efforts. We've had financial summits where we filled rooms like this with school committee, finance committee, select board members. I have my director of finance and administration, Amy Sarrow, here today. She is really part of the financial team that has helped us achieve this lofty goal. Doug Thompson from my select board is here as well. They have to stand up at times and do things that are absolutely politically unpopular and say we just can't spend as much as we want. We have to keep a steady hand on financial prudence. But this is what allows us to do. 8 years ago, the town voted down a new elementary school. We had 3 of the oldest elementary schools in the Commonwealth. At the end of August, we're going to cut a ribbon on a $100 million consolidated elementary school that will be one of the most extraordinary schools that we have in the Commonwealth. Educating the next generation of the workforce is so critically important. That school is absolutely outstanding, and I'm proud of that. I have such an incredible team. But the work to convince the residents of Swampscott to support that investment really was built on making sure that our finances were in order. Here's a vision for the Hadley School, one of our elementary schools. My grandmother was a school nurse at this school. This is going to help create the economic engine on Humphrey Street that will help celebrate that sense of place. Swampscott was once one of the most populated communities for hotels in the country. At the turn of the century, we had some of the most extraordinary hotels in Massachusetts. This will again bring that sense of place back. Delamar is a company that has a number of absolutely world-class boutique hotels. They have some in Connecticut, throughout the country, and their vision for having a rooftop restaurant with a glass view of the skyline of Boston, is celebrating our sense of place. When you hear all of the things that Lynn is doing to celebrate that sense of place, the Swampscott, Salem, as we all start to pull that together, that's the region actually reaching its potential. We all have to be working towards that sense that we have something really special here. I'm proud of the fact that Swampscott actually went out and aspired to take a municipal building and turn it into a commercial investment. We went out to RFP. We had very high skepticism that we get no responses. We got 7. 7 hotel companies came in and said, we want to build a hotel in your community. And for me, that tells us that Swampscott's ready to get some investments. Here's a vision for the Hawthorne restaurant. We recommended a number of strategies for this site. We're still in the process. This is not what will happen, but I wanted to give you a sense. If you've been to Anthony's or the Hawthorne restaurant, the town acquired that property a couple of years ago for $7 million. We did it because it was under threat to become developed into something that would be private and take that public property away. And we worked carefully with the select board and town meeting and acquired that property. Right now, we have a lease with the Athanas company. I want to thank Anthony Athanas and the Athanas company for working with the town. But that's a landform design that gives us a chance to kind of think about, could we have a property on the waterfront that overlooks the city of Boston that helps us get a sense that this property could synergize with the hotel and really create jobs and opportunity. We have to be thinking about jobs and economic opportunity as well. Many of our residents need them, but also the region's residents need these opportunities. Here's Pine Street property. The town, the select board, Dave Grishman on our select board, worked for years to try to think about what more can we do for our veterans. We wanted to do something that really said generationally Swampscott was going to make an investment for our veterans. This is a project that proposes 42 units of affordable housing for veterans. We have to preference veterans. This will be, frankly, for anybody that qualifies, but we're working closely with the VA and our shared veterans agent, Mike Sweeney, to help ensure we can do more than just talk about how important our veterans are, but we can actually show them that we know that they're struggling with so many needs. So many of our veterans need a place to live and need a safe environment. We've partnered with B'nai B'rith, and they helped us convert the Michon School recently into affordable housing, and they're one of the best programs to help support housing. But this is taking a building that really had sat blighted for many generations and really turning it into something extraordinary. I also want to just touch base on infrastructure. Over the last couple of weeks, we've really been talking more about how do we actually address the environmental impacts to Kings Beach. The mayor has done an absolutely wonderful job pulling together a regional focus on how we can do this on a local, state, and federal level. Swampscott is, investing significant money over the last 4 years. We've spent about $800,000 a year on average on infiltration and inflow. Kings Beach has Stacy's Brook that leads into it, that loads it with bacteria. Because we're old communities, we have old pipes, we have clay pipes that have broken over the years. We're starting to look at how to sleeve them. We've spent millions to sleeve them. Over the next 3 years, we're going to spend over $3.5 million a year. And so close to $10 million over the next 3 years. Is that going to mean that we're going to have a safe beach? No. It won't mean that we're going to get to a point where that beach will be safe for our children and for our community. We need broader investments. We need more state and federal funding, and we need some infrastructure that can help us ensure that Kings Beach can be the gem of this region that it deserves to be. It impacts both of our communities. We have environmental justice populations, we have housing authorities in Swampscott, we have all sorts of people that need that investment. I want to close by just talking about people. If you look up on, if you search this up, you'll see a number of news reports that highlight Swampscott's non-civil service hiring of police officers last December. We had Telemundo come to our select board meeting. To me, that's a incredible reflection of how we can address some of the challenges we have with public safety. We have 4 Hispanic officers, we have 2 women, and our first black police officer. Like, we've worked hard over the last few years to really think about inclusivity. Today we're celebrating Juneteenth at Town Hall at 1 o'clock. Please come by and join us. These are part of our efforts to really build a more inclusive community. This is the work that, frankly, aside from budgets, aside from economic development, this is the nuts and bolts of building good communities. Each one of these jobs, I had 10 police officers last year that made over $200,000 a year. One made $250,000 a year. These should be available to everybody and not just locked up in a system that really doesn't allow everybody to apply and be considered. Anybody here, stand up if you know when the next civil service exam is. That's a problem, and it denies opportunity for a lot of individuals to actually be considered for a job. This is our fire chief, Graham Archer. I'm going to just pop out and show a quick video on our recruitment and selection process.
When I was a kid, I'd say I was always interested in firefighters. I was collecting fire t-shirts.
I grew up in this town. I moved here when I was little. I enjoy working with the public.
The idea of helping people every day is what really sparked my interest. The more I learned about the career, the more I fell in love with it.
There's a lot more expected of firefighters today than there used to be. We're expected to be a real support network for the community. We're expected to engage with the community, and we look forward to that.
So in addition to fires, EMS is a big portion of our call volume. We also go through car accidents, so those are fairly frequent.
Boat issues, climate issues, ice, carbon monoxide in homes. I mean, we go to anything and everything with the impact.
And there's a lot of mental health problems that we assist the police and the ambulance services.
It's kind of like being home with my family. We cook meals together, and nobody's ever alone on a call, and everyone's always there to back you up.
We all want to be together. We all want to have each other's back. We want to support one another. Want to hold each other accountable. That's the biggest thing.
Before we can build a good relationship with the community, we need to build relationships amongst ourselves. And we work hard at doing that.
Coming in here, I was nervous, but everyone was really welcoming.
I'd say that I was pretty worried. I mean, why wouldn't you in a new job with 32 guys? Within my first day, they were very welcoming, and it's like almost a brotherhood in a sense. They're these automatic friends and brothers that I didn't have before that I can trust and lean on. And we go on some outings, and like the Red Sox game not too long ago.
We have a ice fishing thing we're doing this Monday. We go bowling. Some guys play softball. That's one of the best parts of the job is the friendships and the camaraderie you have with the guys you work with.
Cuando ya tenía la oportunidad de venir y hablar con el chief y tener la oportunidad de venir acá y trabajar, ya sabía que esta parte era mi casa.
It's important to have diversity in the department because it gives us an accurate representation of everything in the community, other people's perspectives, points of views.
So a bunch of different people together, you see different views that you might not see before.
We all have our own abilities and perspectives to bring to the table.
We all have to respect where we come from. There's different cultures, there's different ways of life, and we all have to understand that about the next person.
When we're choosing somebody to join our family, we look at the whole person, we look at the personality, we look at character, language skills, and life experiences that really help us to engage with a diverse population and people with different challenges.
I think that it's good having a woman on the fire engine. Sometimes there's some woman problems that maybe they don't feel exactly comfortable talking to the guys about.
Especially if it's a type of OB call where, you know, there's a woman that's pregnant or having problems. I'm kind of the one that jumps in and, you know, makes her feel comfortable. And being that person to be there for them is really important.
We are progressing as one society and two as a community, and it's important.
It's a great job. For most people to help people.
And we're really looking for people that are eager to join a team and help people and have a good time doing it.
Me gusta ser parte de la comunidad y ser tan fácil que la gente no quiere hablar, se siente muy bien.
If you are committed to working in your community, helping people in your community, can work well in a team, and are interested in the day-to-day lifestyle that is not predictable. You know, sometimes it's very exciting, sometimes not so much, but it's always interesting.
Be ready to be diverse, be ready to be open-minded, be ready to learn.
I would say buy a scanner and go to fires, watch the firefighters work. And, you know, do your research, see what what's required to be a firefighter, and just train, work hard, and do it.
If people can look inside and think that they've got that, they have that passion, I hope they will come to Swampscott and take a look at what we have to offer and apply, and give us a chance to take a look at it.
It makes me feel good. I like helping people. It heals me, kind of helping other people heals me. So it's worth it. I enjoy it.
With that, I do want to recognize, where is he? Chief. That's Lynn, native Graham Archer. The work that you've done over the last few years to make that department reflect the region and reflect the values that we have as a community makes me extraordinarily proud. We're doing the same thing with our police department. If you want a job in public service, you want to actually help us make a difference in people's lives, you just need to apply for it, and we can give you that opportunity if you have those values. Appreciate the St. Aries is working on that. Thank you for giving me a chance to share a few of these updates. I do want to just recognize Marzi Galaska, not Gazanga, but Galaska. Marzi is our economic development director. Every one of the projects, housing, we just we're past CPA. We bragged about Nahant passing the CPA. Doug Thompson's leading that effort. We passed the MBTA zoning without even blinking at town meeting. We need housing as a Commonwealth. I'm proud of the fact that Swampscott gets all of these things. And if you're around at 1 o'clock, come by and help us celebrate Juneteenth and continue our efforts to make this region extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. A lot of great things happening in Swampscott as well. And to Sean's point about Chief Archer, we were blessed in the city of Lynn to also have Chief Archer's brother, Steve, as our chief for 12 years. Both Lynn Tech grads and both members of Lynn Tech Hall of Fame. So, great family. With that, I'd like to bring up Town Manager of Nahant, Tony Barletta, to give us an update of what's going on in Nahant.
Thank you. Good morning. Let's see here.
You want help, Tony?
Sean's always willing to help me out. So first of all, I want to thank the Chamber and St. Mary's for having us this morning. This is always one of my favorite events. It really it motivates me as a town administrator to hear from the neighboring communities and all the different work that you guys are accomplishing. You know, to look back at what Mayor Nicholson and Sean over in Swampscott has accomplished over the last 5-6 years is really astonishing. And you know, these events, you know, really are good for us to be able to highlight that stuff. I said, the first thing I said to Sean this morning is I'm terrible at touting the things that we actually accomplish. I think we all, you know, are tough, are probably hard. It's one of the harder things for us to do. But if you look back at all the different things that is happening here in Lynn and happening in Swampscott and Nahant, I mean, the list is extremely long, and it's happening, and it happens like that. But us three are hardly responsible for all that progress on our own. Our staff, you know, my staff is hugely important. We have a very limited amount of staff, but beyond just the staff in the town hall, you know, the partners like the EDIC and the Chamber and those public-private partnerships, I mean, they mean so much and give us the ability to make all those, you know, to get all those accomplishments done. So really appreciate, you know, being here, and also appreciate the Chamber for supporting local Brett Henry Catering to offer breakfast this morning from Nahant. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed your offshore cuisine this morning. And I think that, you know, it's really, they've been a really big help for the town of Nahant. They do a ton of work, not only in Nahant, but in our neighboring communities, and they've really brought back, you know, our downtown, which is, you know, consists of like 3 commercial businesses, but it really it brings life to the town of Nahant, which is small, but you know, the little that we have, we're very appreciative of. Our challenges in Nahant are the same but different as our neighboring communities. You know, we don't have a split tax rate. We don't really have a big commercial base. Essentially, our budget is essentially dependent on real estate taxes and that revenue stream. So we're highly dependent on programs like the CPA and getting grants from the state and from the federal level. And you know, Nahant's young. The Town Administrator Act was passed in the 90s. I'm only the 5th town administrator for the town of Nahant. And so while we've been there for a while, you know, we're still on a daily basis trying very hard to just bring the everyday process of running a community and running the business side of a community up to modern day, you know, technology and you know, being as customer friendly, if you will, as we possibly can. So we're still, you know, when I first started, I mean, we were still, you know, dealing with paper and pencil and a lot of things like that. Is, you know, you don't see that daily struggle that a community is dealing with, just trying to bring that side of town government up to speed. You know, a lot of residents don't really see that, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time to get that stuff done. And I look to Swampscott and I look to Lynn for help with that stuff. And both of these guys here, you know, always pick up the phone, always willing to help, and so I just, you know, want to applaud them and thank them. I'm like their younger brother. I probably can only make that joke for so much longer, but when I first started, I didn't even have kids yet, and now I have 2, and so going through becoming a municipal official and trying to bring, you know, the town of Nahant to this next level while also becoming a dad, you know, having them, I can't say enough, to have that, you know, the neighbors and that relationship with you guys, to lean on you for that help. So our top issues in Nahant are, climate change preparedness, aging infrastructure, housing, just like the region, our financial standing, and like I mentioned, the technological advancements. And those are like I'm the third speaker here at a breakfast, so I don't want to bore people too much, but there's so much other stuff that we do, like creating memorial tree program, developing short-term rental rules and regulations. Unfortunately, this past year, we had a tragic death of 3 residents due to carbon monoxide poisoning, which was extremely preventable. And through that, though, we created a absolutely free carbon monoxide replacement program for our residents. So those types of things don't end up on the top of the hot list of things to talk about, but they're so important, and it's happening on a daily basis. Climate change preparedness. How to talk about that in a simple term is really hard. It's not just sea level rise, it's not just building seawalls or dunes. There's so much to it. We look at our local bylaws, our regulation, our stormwater bylaws, our wetlands bylaws. We just voted to update our zoning floodplain bylaw to be in line with the National Flood Insurance Program model bylaw. Those things take a lot of work, take a lot of time to put together, and then you have to get, we have open town meetings, so we have to get it passed, in the zoning case by a 2/3 vote. But they're extremely instrumental to make sure that the residents are, utilizing their property the right way so to not negatively affect their neighbors. On top of that, there's the preventative infrastructure, which is building the seawalls, building dunes, trying to find ways to keep flooding from happening. This past year, every winter, I circle all the moon tides, throughout the winter. And there's usually 6 or 7. And usually 1 or 2 of those keep me up at night. This past year, every single moon high tide we encountered, we experienced flooding in Nahant. And it wasn't that busy of a storm season, but those tides came with, high winds or other items that it just caused problems for us. So we are looking at those storms as they approach. Back when I first started, the town just kind of had a basic plan of, there's a storm coming, it's a nor'easter, okay, go put sandbags out and that sort of thing. Now we are tracking data of wind direction, wind speed, sea level, temperature, the time of the high tide, time of, the direction of the storm, when it's going to hit, what other elements, and we can actually almost pinpoint the more vulnerable areas that are going to get hit based on the details of those storms, because every storm is different, which helps us really, with a limited staff and a limited amount of resources, make sure that we're hitting the right spots and we don't have, a pump set up in the wrong spot of town. We're hitting the spot that's going to be the most vulnerable. We're working with our federal partners at FEMA through a hazard mitigation grant program. We're working with our state partners at CZM and through the MVP program. We're this close, hopefully going to be awarded a $4 million grant to rebuild our Short Beach Dune to bring it up to 100-year storm level height, which would be the largest grant that the town of Nahant has ever received. And hopefully we're successful there. We're getting pretty close. But meanwhile, we're also matching those grants with local dollars that the town is finally supporting, on an annual basis. And we're also teaming that up with an emergency management staff. We're very limited on staffing, so now we've really expanded our emergency management staff. A lot of it is volunteers, but by doing that, we have the right people in the right place at the right time. And they're helping us, advocate for these grants. The other piece of it is responsive infrastructure and equipment. So odds are we're not going to be able to stop the flooding, every single time it comes. But when the water when ocean comes over that seawall or over that dune, it comes in at 10,000 gallons per minute. There's no stopping it. We can do our best. It takes a lot of time to build those types of things, to design and permit and get them built. But in the meantime, we have to be prepared for this winter, this storm season that's coming up. So we've actually invested in multiple portable 2,400 gallon per minute pumps that we can, and then we're building strategic locations in our vulnerable areas of town that we can pump from in those emergency areas so that we don't have people sitting in floodwaters. In 2018, we had neighborhoods that were in 2 feet of water for 4 days straight. And so that, there was a number of things that factored into that. We haven't experienced anything like that since, but those are the types of problems that we have to make sure we avoid. For Nahant, and actually Swampscott and Lynn and a lot of communities, we all just joined the Coastal Communities Alliance, which Salem Mayor started or initiated the process of. So I'm excited that we're all part of that. That's going to help us all kind of work together. For Nahant, like I said, it's, when we experience flooding, we can't get people out of town in an emergency. We can't get our fire department, can't get to Little Nahant or other areas of town because the streets are flooded. So it becomes a serious health hazard, public health risk for us, where it's not just our beaches eroding or property is being lost, it's emergency response that is being affected by climate change. So it's a massive issue for us. Aging infrastructure, all of our stuff is old. All of our public buildings are basically reconverted, historical buildings. Some of them are old military built buildings. We've done a lot on our sewer system. As all you guys are familiar, we completed the Lynnway sewer project a few years ago, which was a massive problem for the town. We experienced 3 emergency breaks over by the U-Haul business there on the Lynnway, costing the town millions of dollars. So we finally completely relined our pipe, which has a 50-year life expectancy on it. So hopefully we won't be digging up the Lynnway anytime soon. And then we're also doing our main pump station, which pumps all of our wastewater from Nahant to the Lynn Water Sewer Treatment Plant, is being completely rebuilt, which is a $6 million project. The roof came off yesterday, and it's something that has been needed for. It's surprising. I think they said that building had a 25-year lifespan, and it was 42 years old. So it was well overdue. But we were able to use SRF funding, which was through the Mass DEP, also approved by a town meeting, which is long-term, low-interest borrowing in order to get that work done. So not only are we accomplishing this work, we're doing it in the best financial mindset possible. We're working on a public safety building study. We've also utilized the MWRA 0% interest loan program. Since 2011, we've used about $2.6 million to do water improvements. Since 2015, we've invested about $200,000, $1.8 million, $200,000 annually on roads, sidewalks, signage. And speaking of the Community Preservation Act, we've used $2.2 million since 2019 to help restore historic properties, build new parks, new playgrounds, improve ADA access, and things of that nature. Housing is very much an issue for the town of Nahant as well. We are also an MBTA community. We don't have to vote on it until the end of next year, but we're working on it this summer, thankfully with a grant from EEA, working with MAPC to develop a zoning bylaw that will be compliant with the MBTA 3A law. We're also currently working on, we actually use CPA funding to hire MAPC to do the process of developing a housing production plan, which we're working on currently. Coast Guard housing redevelopment. This property, I think I talked about this at the last time we had this meeting. Now 9 of these buildings have been demolished. This property's been cleaned and it's available for sale. We just put out a procurement for marketing proposals from real estate brokers. We've received 5 proposals. We're reviewing those now, and hopefully in the next month we'll be putting these properties up for sale, which is going to add probably about a fifth of our annual tax revenue will come from this property alone as new growth. Financial standing, I'll just quickly hit on this. As Sean said, clean your room before you leave the house.
My mother said that to me.
Well, you said it too. But I like that. This is something that we've had, the Visual Local Services did a report on the town of Nahant in 2015, and none of the recommendations have been implemented in 2018 when I started. So it was a point of emphasis, and for the first time ever, the town of Nahant is just invested, now has over $1 million in their stabilization account, something that only had about $100,000 in it when I first started. So, those types of things, investing in stabilization, investing in OPEB, like Sean said, it secures your bond rating, which gives us the best possible interest rates when we go to borrow to do all these massive projects. So, but we do, because we're limited, because most of our revenue comes from real estate property taxes, and because we don't have a split tax rate, and because of Proposition 2.5, our annual growth is very minimal. This year, we only had less than $500,000 in additional revenue under our taxes to work with. And with that, it makes it very challenging for us to hold on to talented employees. So, we're trying to be as creative as possible to find ways to bring in new revenue so that we can hold on to the employees that we have and hire more, so that we can continue to do the work that's very much needed in our town. And then lastly, the technological advances that I spoke about. Our website was one thing that hadn't been really updated since when I first started. So we launched a new website, which is it's mobile friendly. It actually fits the screen of your phone, unlike our old website did. We included customer service elements in that, where you can pay your bills quickly by just clicking one link instead of having to click 10 to get there. We've done a human resource study. We've also just approved funding to update all of our residential water meters. It's going to be like a 3-year program, but the water meters that we have in town now are on their 10th year of life, which they have about a 10-year lifespan. The new water meters have a 20. Our current meters require us to actually drive around town to collect data. These new meters are going to be cloud-based, real-time data being sent to the town hall. It also comes with a customer service portal where you as a resident would be able to pull up your app and know, what if your water's running in real time. You can set up alerts. If, let's say, you went on vacation and all of a sudden a pipe broke, you get an alert on your phone that you have irregular activity of water usage, and the town would be notified as well. So, those water conservation efforts and just modern technology, it's just amazing, these things that you can do. Luckily, we're kind of in a position where we have to update our meters anyways, so it's working out. It's probably going to be like a 3-year program. But those are the type of things that, we're finally kind of bringing the town into, the new age. So, again, thank you very, very much for having me here today. And I really appreciate the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Nahant. And hopefully you guys can come over and spend some time at the beach, and look forward to being here next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And one group I forgot to single out was Newbie and the kids students from the TV media program at Lynn Tech. They're helping us out with video this morning. Thank you to St. Mary's, Dr. Dolan, for opening the doors to us this morning. Such a great space. To catering by Brett Henry, who was also one of our Nahant Chamber Award winners. EDIC and your staff and your great partners to us at the Chamber. And again, all our gold sponsors, Morris Architects, King Movers, GE Aerospace. Have a great day, everybody. What did I forget?
Yourself.
Oh, Lynn Community Television, which reminds me, next month's meeting, our government affairs meetings are typically at Lynn Community TV down on Union Street. And next month's meeting will feature Todd Angeli from Essex County Probation. I don't know if he'll kick us off with the national anthem. To talk about, and possibly Sheriff Kevin Coppinger, to talk about career training and job placement opportunities for the recently incarcerated. So, you know, I talked to Todd the other night. They have a lot of great programs going on for training and to make sure people have a place to go when they leave and serve their sentences. So please join us for that. Maybe great opportunities for hiring as we all struggle to hire. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you.